In this lesson, we're going to take a look at loading animation in 3ds Max 8. The new load animation tool has been completely redesigned from the ground up, especially to work with the new XML format. Open the file animation_start.max. You can see that we have two characters, one with some animation, which we have already saved. We're going to load that animation file onto this character on the left. First, just select the entire rig and go to File, Load Animation. The Load Animation File dialog comes up, and from here we can pick our file that we want to load, but we have some other options we can choose first. Over to the right, we have Relative and Absolute. Relative means that the animation will be loaded onto the character and it will be relative to its current position. Absolute will move your character to the same space where the animation was saved from. This can be useful for animations where the character has to be repositioned to the exact same spot, but most of the time animators like to choose relative because they're just concerned with bringing motion onto the character that you already have and keeping it in the same place. Below that we have Replace and Insert. Replace will completely replace the animation that's on the character, or we can insert the animation at some frame that we type into the field. In this case we'll insert the animation at frame 0. So we'll just pick wavearm.xaf to load. If you saved any custom attributes, you'll see them down here in this user data area. So let's load motion, and we'll get prompted that says no tracks are mapped. Should we create a map file? This is saying that the tool doesn't know how to apply the animation onto the character, and it needs us to tell it what bones match up with which. So we'll click on yes, and that's going to bring up our map animation dialog. It can be a little daunting to do by hand because there's a whole lot of different tracks here, but there are several different ways that we can speed this process up. First, we'll want to take a look at our filters. The filters are the different track types that will be displayed in both columns. So for example, we know that the character doesn't have visibility or note tracks, so we can uncheck those. We can turn on animated tracks. We can filter to just keyable tracks if we wish. We can turn those on and off. So we know that our character has some custom attributes as well as IK controllers, and it also has modifiers and base objects. So now we can just start dragging mapping tracks by hand. So we can click on World Transform for both of them and hit the left to map that track over to the character. This does take quite a while to do. In the map nodes section, we can get a quick mapping and then maybe edit some things that we know might be difficult by hand. So we'll just right click over in the current and select all, and then in the incoming tracks we'll right click and select all also. In map nodes, we're going to match the controllers not by exact name, but we can go ahead and map them by order and also consider the type of controller. This way they don't have to have the same name or anything like that. And then we want to map the character by hierarchy. So we can choose the hierarchy because both rigs we know have the same hierarchy. So we'll just click on hierarchy, and you see that all the different things that get mapped in the center track. Once you've done that, you need to save your mapping. This is useful because if we save this mapping, we can reuse it in the future and we don't have to do this process again. So we'll just save this map as animation test, and we'll just click on load motion, and you can see that the motion has been loaded onto the character. So basically this is the way that load animation works in 3ds Max 8.